If you still think the architect and the engineer does the same job on site, you are not alone, but you are wrong. Most people believe once construction starts, the architect's job is over. That's one of the biggest misconceptions in the building industry. So today, I'm going to explain what an architect and engineer they do for site and why they both need each other for site. Hi everyone, I'm the Billionaire Architect. I simplify architecture and constructions so you can make better building decisions and also avoid costly mistakes. Now make we settle this once and for all. What will be the difference between an architect and an engineer? Now we'll start with the architect. Think of the architect as the guardian of the design. Before construction begins, the architect works closely with the clients to understand their needs. The architect develops the design, prepares the architectural drawings, and coordinates with other consultants. But the mistake when they make be say, we they feel say the architect work they stop once construction starts. But the truth be say, the architect they visit the construction site once in a while to ensure say waiting that they build, they exactly waiting the architect draw. The architect checks the room sizes, the building dimensions, the door and window positioning, the door and window sizes, the roof details, the materials being used, the kind of finishes that was used, and above all, the overall quality of the workmanship. And if something does not match the drawings or the client expectations, the architect go identify them and instruct the builder or the engineer and make corrections. The architect also answers design questions, coordinates changes when necessary, and ensures the completed building is not only aesthetically pleasing, but it's also very functional. In simple terms, the architect, they protect the client's vision. Now, we could talk about the engineers. Why the architect, they focus on how the building will function and how the building will look. The engineer focuses on whether the building is safe, the building is stable, and the building is technically sound to live in. For example, the structural engineer ensures the foundation, the beams, the columns, the slabs, and reinforcements are built exactly as designed. The engineer, they check whether the steel reinforcement is properly placed before you pour your concrete. The engineer also verify the concrete quality and ensure that the structure can safely carry the load it was designed for. In other words, the engineer, they make sure say your building is safe for you to live in. And not be only structural engineer we get on site. We get other engineers too. We get the electrical engineer. These ones, they deal with the electrical wiring of your structure. We get the mechanical engineer. They deal with your plumbing. They deal with your HVAC systems and other mechanical things for your site, like your lift, your fire protection system and all. So one question I hear all the time is this: who exactly is the boss on site? But this question has one answer. The answer depends on the issue being addressed at that particular time. For instance, if it's about the building size, the building layout, the aesthetics of the building functionality, the architect is in charge of that. Then if it's all about the structural safety, the reinforcement, the strength of your beams, the strength of your columns, the strength of your slab, everything that has to do with the building structurally, the engineer is in charge of that, because the safety of that building lies in the hands of the engineer. But on a well-designed project, neither of the professionals work alone. The architect does not work alone, neither does the engineer work alone. They work together, because a successful project is determinant on the collaboration of the architect and the engineer. It just be like where you mix bread and butter together. Now, not the way they be, Abi. Now, take this as an example. The client may want to move one column from one place to another. The architect may agree with it, but the architect cannot just move that column, except the architect consults the engineer, because there's a reason why that column is there, and moving that column might reduce the structural strength of that building. And if the engineer disagrees with removing the column, then the architect has to now go back to his drawing board and redesign it to ensure that the column stays there and the client also gets what he or she wants. Now, in conclusion, this is the easiest way to remember it. The architect asks, does this building meet my client's vision and requirement? Then the engineer asks, will this building stand based on the design requirements given by the architect? Because you need both questions answered before you can actually have a successful project. And if you learned something new today, I beg make you follow this page for more practical construction and architectural tips. And still tell me for comment section, what you feel say be the job of the architect or the engineer for site.